Hi everyone, I am Lauren K. I've done a few videos, uh, for my performer page, but there is another name by which I go out on the interwebs, and that is Violacious Witch. As a part of what I share with that, I share things I notice in nature, full moon phases, astrology, like things like that. But I also do a lot of tarot things as well. And so I started a project a while ago where I actually compare the same cards from four different decks that I have, and kind of discuss the differences in the symbolism of the images. So here, let me grab. So the four tarot decks that I have are the Universal Tarot, which is a very the reason that I got it was that it was a part of a beginner's tarot kit. Basically, it came with a booklet and the deck, and the images are really, really similar to. Hello, Feldspar, making yourself comfortable. Are really similar to the Rider-Waite deck, which is kind of what a lot of people consider like the default divination of tarot. It's not the original one. That is actually a playing card deck that is Italian, I think, which is really cool. The history of games and how they play with divination is amazing and fascinating. You should totally check it out. Which, incidentally, like if you have a set of playing cards, just regular playing cards, you can actually use a lot of the symbolism with your playing cards as well. You don't have as many cards because a tarot deck has 78 and a regular playing deck has 52, but there's a lot you can do with that. But I started this project where I compare my four decks and the images within them, and also what is generally considered like the correct or traditional meaning of the cards, but then like also what I see and what they mean to me. And I've been posting kind of like a blog. I do them on my Instagram, which is at Violacious Witch. And then I have a blog on the app Amino, and I'm going to put links to all this in the description. So if you wanted to like look at the other cards that I've done, you can definitely do that. But yeah, so it kind of was something that I wanted to show, like rather than doing like tarot readings, which I can definitely do. I do like pay as you wish tarot readings, where I can send you an audio file and a PDF of the spread that you get. But I thought this would be a really neat way to kind of show how I research cards, and get to know my decks, as well as hopefully give y'all some insight so that you can maybe do it on your own. As far as mental health is concerned, tarot reading was a game changer. Not so much because the reason it can kind of come off as like fortune telling, or at least from my perspective, like I don't want to put words into other people's mouths, but from my perspective, what it helps do is kind of channel what is already going on in your head and gives you a framework. Like, so the tarot spreads gives you a framework of questions to ask yourself, and then you have a card that's supposed to give you an answer. But that's going to do something to you. You're going to react to this answer in a particular way, and that's where the kind of divination or reading part comes into it. Is you have to be honest with yourself and read your reaction to the card. and what that card is telling you. So if you have a bad reaction versus a good reaction, where it's just like, well, yeah, I knew that. Thanks, universe. You know, it's really calling to you to be honest with yourself and what that means. And so it can feel like it's like reading your mind, or, you know, things like that, because I mean, what it comes down to is that we're reading the reactions to the imagery. And so the imagery is going to mean something to different people, you know? So like that's kind of something really fascinating to look at. So this is, I've already done a few cards already. So I started with the suit of wands. There are 4 suits in tarot. There are the wands, the cups, pentacles, and swords. So I started with wands because they are associated with the element of fire. I was born under a fire sign. Happy Aries season. I'm an Aries. My birthday is coming up in quarantine. But yeah, so I wanted to start with wands just because I felt like it. So I've already done the ace, 2, and 3 of wands already, and you can find that on my blog if you want to go back and read what I had to say about it. But I figured I could just kind of record myself doing my research for the 4 of wands, which is also a really neat card. It's one of my favorite cards. I'm gonna plug my computer in. I'm running out of battery. Okay, so Universal Tarot, which is the one I said that was my first tarot deck that I got as a kind of beginner one. Then I got, and this is what the Universal 4 of Wands looks like. I like it because like it has like the number 4 wands, and even other languages of it as well. You know, it's a very clear-cut kind of tarot card. And then I got Tarot Mucha, which, like the name suggests, is very Art Nouveau style. I got this because like I had a credit on Amazon because they, you know, kind of screwed me over with something. And so I was like, you know, I've seen this deck on Instagram. I think it's beautiful. And you can see the similarities, but also differences between the Universal Tarot and the Tarot Mucha. Then the next deck I got was the Fairy Tarot, and it's a lot smaller, as you can see, like fairies. And I won this in an Instagram giveaway. And there is a lot of text, a lot of people, a lot of old school tarot readers that say that you aren't supposed to buy your own tarot deck, that it's supposed to be a gift. I think that there is power in gifts, for sure. And I appreciate the gifts that I've gotten, but I purchased my own tarot deck and called it a gift to myself because for many years I kind of waited for someone to gift me a tarot deck, and no one did. And I just got tired of waiting on other people, and so I gave it to myself. And there's power in that too. So definitely just do what you want to do is kind of how I see it. This is the Anima Mundi deck. It's gorgeous. Like everything that I've worked on with this deck so far has just been astounding. I love it so much. It was a gift from my my nesting partner, my anchor partner, and like he gave it to me on a full moon, like across the street from a graveyard, and like it just I love this deck, and it's definitely special in that way. and kind of feel like it's my more formal deck. Uh, I definitely feel like my Universal Tarot, my first tarot deck, is like my at-home casual. It's mine. And the Universal Tarot seems very straightforward, whereas like the Anima Mundi, this last one that I showed you, I feel like I have to like uncover it and everything, and it's always real exciting to see what I can find out from that deck. So those are my 4 decks that I have. So when I'm doing the research for this project that I do, I call it VW for Violacious Witch. So VW Comparot. And you can like find that hashtag. It's like VW Comparot 2020, and you can see that on Instagram. See all the posts that I've made about it. And yeah, I just move on from one card to the next, just kind of comparing what each of them say to me. So I always start with, oh, this side. Okay. I always start with Universal Tarot and go from there, because it's like my default traditional deck. So the first thing I do is I Google, just to see what the traditional accepted meaning of that card is. Okay, so the website that I like to use is called biddytarot.com. That's, oh, yeah, I don't know if you guys can hear that. I live right next to a fire station. We'll probably hear sirens multiple times in videos. But it's BIDDYTAROT.com, Biddy Tarot. It's a really large website, very informative. I will say be careful about putting your email in anything, because they will email you 5 times a day with stuff. But you don't have to put your email in, so I would recommend doing that and just using it for research purposes. But the meanings and keywords and definitions and things like that they use on this website really coincide with what I have seen in the imagery on the cards. I agree with Biddy Tarot most of the time. There has been some differences with what I would say, but I always kind of start here to give myself a place to jump off. So keywords: upright, celebration, joy, harmony, relaxation, homecoming. Okay, so on this website, there is a lot of reference to, like the keywords say. We've got celebration, joy, harmony, relaxation, and homecoming. So it's like going to where you're familiar, like a home base, for good reason, like a celebration of some kind, like a wedding or a graduation, baby shower, any number of things, birthday party, any kind of celebration. There is also like mention of like a milestone with a project. Maybe not necessarily like a big milestone, but it's important to like acknowledge little milestones in your journey. So up to this point, the 1, 2, and 3, or excuse me, the Ace, 2, and 3 of Wands, is it's talking about the start of a project. The Wands suit, with it being associated with the fire element, has a lot to do with like passion and creativity and like just vigor and liveliness. So I see it as like passion projects, just things that you just love so much, but very personal. Like you can be passionate about your relationships, but relationships are actually more cups, like for love, like in water. So, like, it's kind of a relationship you have with like your art or your volunteer work or anything like that. Something that is just like lights that fire in you, and so it can be celebrating like a success that you've achieved with that, as well as just like coming together with family or close friends, those that you're familiar with. Now, if you look at this side, if you look at the card itself, you can see where it looks as though there are these people who are like, preparing decorations. Like they are putting together the garland that are up on the tops of the wands. Something that is in the symbolism of the number 4 is that stability. It's the 4 elements, the 4 phases of the moon, the 4 directions. It's like a completion. It's a foundation, and I like seeing this as like the 4 corners of a home, particularly with the symbolism that goes along with these cards. So that's kind of what I do. It's like you set up those 4 corners for that that stability in order to set everything else up higher. That's what you build from. And that can also go into going back to your roots, like when you need to recharge and you just have to like go back to home base, take stock of what you have so that you can continue to move forward as well. Now, at this point, acknowledging all of the symbolism that is talked about in the traditional explanation, I then go to the things that I personally notice in the card. So for me, it's the people working on the garland. The garland itself looks as though it's grapes. And so that calls to mind like vineyards as well. It looks like they're setting it up in like a park or just outside of a city. So it might be something to kind of, call to nature in a way with friends, maybe. Like as a group going for a hike or something like that. All right, so out of that, the grapes is what's calling to me. So at that point, what I would do is Google grape symbolism. Okay, so something I like is association with the Greek god Dionysus, or the Roman form is Bacchus. It was served amongst the wealthy at lavish events and social lives of the past. It was considered the juice of the gods, which kind of goes with that celebration thing. Then of course there's the Christian symbolism, the blood that he gave his followers, turned his blood into wine, or wine into blood. But it's symbolic of sacrifice and the abundance of love from the divine, devotion. which can play into both like the family aspect and like devotion to a successful project. Vines symbolize making new connections, like kind of growing out. They take over anything that they touch and continue to grow regardless. So in order to be happy and successful, we must possess this ability as well. Grapevines prove to be one of the greatest examples of self-regeneration in nature. They demonstrate the presence of cycles all across the world and throughout life. In our own lives, we see this as well as remembering that nothing will be forever. When times get tough, we must persevere, regenerate ourselves, and move forward, like grapes do. Grapes are symbols of rewards, results, and satisfaction. Eating grapes is a symbol of pleasure. Yeah, like like those like kind of sexy pictures of like eating the grapes and things like that. Yeah, it's good. Okay, so I think that kind of shows you there, and that's when you're doing a tarot reading. You want to talk to the person and be like, hey, like, what stands out to you in that? And you can play into what your client or friend or whatever is seeing in the card themselves, and ask yourself that too. So then we move on to the next card, which is Tarot Mucha, which is real similar to the Universal Tarot, but you can, definitely see some differences. In particular, I noticed that the people working on these decorations and these preparations for this celebration seem like they're having a lot more fun. Like, they seem like they're having a good time, whereas like the ones in Universal Tarot are like, heads down, doing their job, like all of that stuff, which I think calls to like working hard, and you'll get to reap the rewards. But okay, so what I've noticed about the art in this deck versus the Universal Tarot, while it has a lot of those same images, Tarot Mucha is like a little bit more sassy. So this continues to go with that. Like, yeah, they're doing what they're supposed to, but they are having a great time. In addition to the fact that there is a younger person in this as well, who's happy, helping get it all together as well. So that can potentially, like talk more about the effects of the project that you're doing. Maybe calls more to mind fertility, which there was a lot of that talked about in the Universal as well. The buildings are much further in the distance than in the Universal Tarot, so that like it definitely seems like the distance, like the step back, recharge, regroup part of it, regenerate, like the like it's okay to stop, remove yourself, have some fun. Like, you don't have to work so hard all of the time. It seems like it's much more clear. It just seems like this one's a lot more fun and direct, whereas like the Universal Tarot is like a little bit of a nudge in that direction. And then we've got Fairy Tarot. So it's always interesting looking at the fairy tarot cards because they don't use like any of the same symbolism that anyone else does. So they've got the acorns. What I will say is that it looks like there's a nest, which is, like kind of that home thing. And it's like multiple species. So we've got the fairy, an owl, another kind of bird that I'm not really sure what the species is, but it's like bringing everyone together. Bringing friends together is what it kind of says to me. I'm going to grab the booklets real quick. Bear with me. Okay, so a few of these came with booklets. I actually gifted the beginner booklet to someone else, so I don't have the one that came with the Universal Tarot. But here is the Tarot Mucha one. Let's see what it has to say. Staves. Another interesting thing about Tarot Mucha is that it doesn't refer to the wands as wands. It actually refers to them as staves, which are very specifically like a walking stick, which I think has a different type of symbolism than the word wand to it as well. Lends to like a journey a little bit more. Okay, so interesting. The booklet for Tarot Mucha also has a phrase that stands out to me, is that they affirm that life is more than just day-to-day routine. So I think it really lends to that stepping out of the routine to enjoy yourself and do that. So I'm glad I picked that up because I really like that phrase in particular. Okay, so so it's a very tiny booklet, and so it just has keywords. It doesn't have like descriptions. But for the wands, the 4 is agreement and prosperity. So just like a yes card, I think. And like in gathering up those you care about to celebrate. Because I mean, like, I don't know, can you see that the fairy? No, the fairy is like hugging the owls. But yeah, like just gather everyone close and celebrate and have a good time. Okay, so now we're to Anima Mundi, which is like always my big finale card because I just always love what I uncover when I'm learning about these cards. So this is what it looks like. When I pulled this card from the deck to do this video, I was actually surprised by the way it looks. So up to this point, the imagery of the wands, the Ace, 2, and 3, there has been a very clear journey to them, where you can actually kind of see the motion and the growth of where the wands are going, where you are going in that journey. So the 3 of Wands was like atop a mountain range that you could see in the distance in the 2 of Wands, and like, I mean, and so it was very progressive. This does not seem as progressive. Like there is no backdrop. The distance, step out of the day-to-day routine, do the distant, like, it's okay. Just take a break, enjoy yourself. See, it's like always uncover something. So that's what it is. It's like, you can remove yourself from your journey. You don't have to stay in and do this work, this commitment all of the time. You've got to take a break every once in a while. Something else that's interesting with this, up to this point, the the wands have only had the white flowers on them. But this one has a wand with pink flowers. It's got a wand with purple flowers. It's got a wand with white flowers as well. So, there is definitely a sense of like gathering together, in that way. And the wands are, they're crossed over each other. And so it's like definitely a coming together, creating a sense of togetherness. It definitely makes me think of like the vines, from the previous descriptions, and the intertwining, and reaching out to each other. Now, because I had noticed in particular the white flowers before, it really makes me want to look up the symbolism of what these flowers could potentially be on the other on the other wands. And we can just look up like the symbolism of like the colors of the flowers. Okay, so pink flower symbolism. Pink flowers represent grace, gentility, and happiness. Yeah, like grace, gentility. Yeah, I like that. Let's see, is there anything else? Pink is a symbol of love. Yeah. And it's like the happy fuzzy, like warm fuzzy kind of love. Whereas like red is more like the passion and maybe more lustful kind of love. Pink can mean friendship. Pink is, what parents feel for their children. It's just that pure, just, I love you kind of a thing. Okay. We do also have red flowers, though, which, again, kind of calls to that passion. You want to bring it together. You want to have the pink and the red, red is the color of seduction and desire, strength, passion, courage, heat. So you want to keep the fire is what I'm getting off of this. And then purple. Origins tied to royalty and ceremony represent dignity, pride, and success. Which again, calls to mind the milestone kind of thing, and like just recognizing it, having that ceremony to call to notice what you've done and what you've accomplished, and have pride in yourself as well. We can go ahead and do white flowers as well. Even though white flower symbolism is discussed in my previous installments of this. Purity and innocence. Honesty, perfection. Yep, that seems to be the consensus. So, and I think that the white flowers kind of symbolize you, the self in this, because it's been the white flowers on the wands all the way up to this point in this deck as well. So keep your intentions pure, if you're happy for yourself, be honest with yourself about that and do it. Don't try to like showboat, maybe don't show off. Keep it pure, keep it innocent, but part of being honest with yourself is acknowledging your success as well as anything else. And so be honest with yourself in the good ways too, which I think is great. So I am actually going to, this is literally just half of the work that I do for this. Yeah, I can sometimes spend like 3 and 4 hours just like looking at my four cards for this research project, because I do them reversed as well. They have like different meanings when you pull them out, and they're reversed as well. So I'm going to include that in my blog and my Instagram posts when I do make that. If you want to see how the reversals compare to the upright versions, I mean, my God, please follow me on Facebook, Violacious Witch. I'll have the spelling of that like up in the description, wherever it is, in relation to how you're watching this. And then yeah, send me a message, like follow me and let me know what you're doing, because I love to see the different ways people do these things. Like, get out your playing card. Like, come on, everybody's got a deck of playing cards. Like, you can do it. Like, find that symbolism the same as everyone else, or the same as every card in a tarot deck. That symbolism is present in every image that you can find. And yeah, thanks so much for watching.